This is Nerd World Problems, things that matter to awesome people. The Mark of the Rani is often forgot about, and I don't really know why. There's nothing really wrong with it, it's actually pretty solid. Is it because there's little to criticise about it, apart from a shoddy pantomime tree? Are the general public incapable of remembering a Sixth Doctor story unless it has something to criticise? It's not outstanding by any means, but there are some very likeable aspects to it. So perhaps it doesn't quite fit in with the Sixth Doctor era's aesthetic as a result. This is the only Sixth Doctor historical story. That in its own right gives this story a completely different quality, and one that I think better suits the Sixth Doctor. You could say that this is where the Sixth Doctor feels at home, in the heightened, almost theatrical surroundings. For once, the Doctor isn't the elephant in the room, standing out like a sore thumb, although he's still wearing the multicoloured costume, for most of the story at least. His character is now hitting his stride, so if you were to watch this story before any other Sixth Doctor adventure, you would likely be pleasantly surprised. Similarly with Peri, who I haven't really discussed in detail yet, in this story she actually has something significant to do related to her character, i.e. use her botany skills to prepare a sleeping draught to help subdue the sleep-deprived Luddites. It's great to see this in action rather than just throwaway references, and it forms a pretty significant part of the plot and allows Peri to come into her own for the first time in a few stories. She also has a small romantic subplot which ends in tragedy when her would-be admirer is transformed into a tree. Looking at Peri as a whole, firstly, I have no issue with Nicola Bryant. She is a great actress and does some great work developing the relationship with the Fifth Doctor in a short space of time. The regeneration, however, does somewhat derail that journey and that relationship. Peri and the Sixth Doctor endure a fractious and abrasive relationship which is very different. A lot of the time, there is a clash of personalities. The Fifth Doctor acted as a guiding, calming influence for these first few stories. However, post-regeneration, the two characters spend a lot of time antagonising each other. I get that the direction they were trying to go in was basically to intentionally derail that Doctor-companion friendship very early on and show that travelling in the TARDIS isn't all peachy. There are a couple of problems with this though, the biggest of which, it doesn't really go anywhere. It never gets resolved, there's no damage control or any attempt to build bridges. It just kind of fizzles out and these two characters sort of tolerate each other. But it is implied that they care about each other very deeply, and this is much better explored in the Big Finish audios. Peri could have been given a lot more to do here in terms of helping rehabilitate this new Doctor. However, at face value, it does just seem a bit bitchy. You kind of just think, why doesn't she just go home? Stay behind on Earth during Attack of the Cybermen? She doesn't have to put up with this nonsense. This is not Nicola Bryant or Colin Baker's fault, really. I have to point the finger at Eric Saywood, who probably could have done more to guide the flow of this Doctor-companion dynamic. There is just a lot of unexplored potential here. As it is, the writers are pretty much left to have the pair argue as is the norm, which isn't always pleasant viewing. We can't talk about this story without of course addressing the Rani. The Rani has unfortunately become something of an icon for where Doctor Who started to go wrong in the 80s, trying to recreate the success of the Master as a new character. Although I think most of this derision is based on her follow-up appearance in Time with the Rani, here the Rani is a well thought out character with a plan, a purpose, a personality and style. Kate O'Mara brings her to life brilliantly, and the performance along with the writing creates a surprisingly formidable opponent with some considerable potential for the future. Also, her TARDIS looks really cool. The Master, however, is the one who does draw the short straw. Considering we have 3 Time Lords on Earth antagonising each other, the stakes really should be a bit higher. As it is, the Master does kind of become second fiddle to the Rani, and he bickers with pretty much everyone. Anthony Ainley, however, does this brilliantly, and he has some really good moments, even if at other times he is greatly overshadowed, and sometimes you stop and think, why is he there? He does have a plan, but it's forgotten in the first 10 minutes, by which point he is kind of lingering at a party that he wasn't invited to. Another really good point is that this story looks great. There are some brilliant sets and design work, fab locations, creative direction, and a tasteful score that gives this story a very different quality. It looks like more money has been spent on it due to the fact that the BBC knows how to do period dramas really, really well, and the sheer amount of location filming, plus it avoids the tasteless and tacky cliches of a lot of 80s Doctor Who with alien planets and spaceships. This one really deserves a lot more appreciation than it gets. I hope you've enjoyed this episode-by-episode analysis of the Sixth Doctor. Please let me know your thoughts about the character in the comment section below, and if you want to see more videos like this. In the meantime, please check out my blog, Nerd World Problems, at drtripod.wordpress.com, where you can find typed up versions of each of these episodes.